Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have an outstanding 90-minute show for you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is one of the smaller shows of the week to start off and actually continue the conversation that was raging over the weekend. We're going to get into Black Myth Wukong. And some of the BS or the drama, as one of my favorite YouTubers like to say, and that, of course, is Josh from the Den of Nerds. If you are a comic book guy or gal, definitely check out the Den of Nerds. He is phenomenal. I've been a fan for him for years. I haven't had a chance. He doesn't really have guests on his show. I don't know if I can get him on this show. We're still too tiny, but I'm going to give it the old college effort, because I do like the Den of Nerds. Of course, that is not the only topic. We got some new information for Avowed, which, listen, I'm not going to front. Like, as an old man, Indiana Jones, for me, is tip of the spear for 2024. But I got to be honest with you, the more that I hear about Avowed, like, how could you not get excited for an Obsidian RPG? And what's crazy is that we have a ton of new information outside of, yes, there's a third-person mode. Holy gaming gods, that's amazing. And of course, we're going to have a little bit of discourse about the ABK deal. It looks like it's coming to an end. The lead prosecutor has recused himself from it, meaning that, well, it seems as if it's starting to wind down. We got some information that a lot of people ran with, that it's like them getting rid of the case. The case is still ongoing, but it appears that that is going to be done and over with, as it should be. I mean, the entire planet has approved this deal except for Lena Khan's FTC. Is there a problem here, ladies and gentlemen? The answer is, you freaking bet your ass there is. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, but we will get into that. But before we get to the topics, I welcome in our amazing panel. Gamsley, what's up, brother? How you feeling?
I'm super good. I'm right now. I'm playing some Elden Ring DLC. I'm getting my butt kicked. I'm loving every freaking second of it. It's a lovely time. I can read, so I can read descriptions. So like the game's not as hard as people are making it out to be. But besides that, it's I'm having a fun time, man. It's a good time to be a gamer. Let's talk.
Indeed, it is. It's a great time to be a gamer. And like we were talking in the green room, Elden Ring game is hard. I should not like that game. I should hate it. But somehow or another, I put days into that game.
I don't know how my 4 fingers can handle this game.
It is. Listen, the fact that you're playing and you're enjoying it is good enough for me. I am going to say that game, I mean, again, you've heard a lot of things. It's getting mixed reviews. That doesn't mean it's a good game. You talk to people like Ainsley from Season Gaming. I talked to Mr. Badbit. The game is fine. It's a From Software game. Those games are hard. So listen, again, your mileage may vary on whether or not you want to play, but guess what? You don't have to. What you should be playing, Fuzzy Belvedere, is still Wakes the Deep. Wow, what a freaking amazing horror game! Holy matrimony! I've been playing it all weekend. I don't think I've been kind of like drips and drabs. I play for an hour, put it down, hang out with Mrs. Boom, come back. She jumps into a shower. I play for 15, 20 minutes. Then we start doing our thing and watching our movies and our films. I have maybe about 4 hours into it. I think it's about a 10-hour game. I'm about halfway through. That I do know. I mean, my God, what an amazing horror game. If I'll put it to this way, with no spoilers, because that's why I didn't record any footage, because I don't want to take away any of the jump scares. There are a lot of them. If you are a fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, you need to play this game, because wow, it's just like that and then some. But Fuzzy, how you feeling, brother? How was your weekend?
Oh, feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. Just been playing a little bit of Division 2, hopped back in, got my my 4th agent up to level 40, and been
nice.
Trying to get better gear for it, because I've kept that one at level 30 for the longest time, because I didn't want it going through the Warlords of New York. But yeah, finally decided, since they removed that obstacle on, at least for new players and stuff, I was like, no need in keeping it at 30 anymore. But playing Forza Horizon 5 a good bit, enjoying that, still collecting the cars. They got the Mustang Dark Horse edition.
Yes, I saw that.
Definitely had to get that. But yeah, just having fun. Been off of social media for the most part, and I know that there's been a lot of uproar over stuff, but yeah, just enjoying life and enjoying gaming, and glad to be here to talk about these topics. But yeah, some pretty interesting stuff going on, and man, we got Avowed towards the end of this year, and like you said, third person, man, just I can't wait.
I mean, that to me elevates it to like high status for me, because I mean I don't mind first person. Obviously, I played a lot of FPS games. I probably played maybe about 50% through of Elder Scrolls. You can switch between both. And I played probably half and half. But I mean, this is new IP. It is not a new IP in the sense where it's based on everything new that we have no lore for. It has its own lore. I'm not familiar with it because I don't play the prior titles. This is new for me, but like I said, it's Obsidian. They know how to tell stories. We're going to get to that on the back end because I want to open up with the drama, so to speak. So, of course, I have in front of me now, a lot of people posted this, but I want to shout out the Black Viking over at his podcast because he had put this out there. And this segment that I'm going to read verbatim comes the way of a report that was generated and written by Windows Central. Okay, now, obviously, it was Black Myth Wukong is scheduled for August. We know that it's on the way. Unfortunately, Xbox players are going to have to wait. How long are they going to have to wait? Well, that's unknown at this point. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? We don't know. But when Game Science was approached, they initially didn't say anything. Like I said, I'm going to read verbatim from the actual article so you folks can hear exactly what I'm reading. And then eventually they did respond. And their response was, hey, we're trying to optimize it for the Xbox Series X and S. And that's all they said. So immediately, Gamsley, the community, as it does, blamed the potato. Right? Everyone blamed the potato. It's because of the S. It's holding everyone back. It's holding the universe back. We'll never get into the next century because of how terrible the Series S is. It's just amazing. It's holding back everything. But here is the part of the article that I'm going to read verbatim. And it goes on to say, I asked both Microsoft and Game Science to comment on the optimizations issue, seeking some clarity. Was the Xbox Series S to blame? ? Game Science didn't respond. But this morning, a Microsoft spokesperson offered the below statement. Now, this is where the rubber hits the road, ladies and gentlemen, and there is some fugaziness going on. And the spokesperson for Microsoft simply said this: we're excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong for Xbox Series X and S, and are working with Game Science to bring that game to our platforms. And this is where I think they dropped it like it's hot, Gamsley. We can't comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. Okay, so, I mean, I'm not a 3-star detective, and I can say that maybe someone will have a different opinion, and that's great. But what that says to me is because they simply could have said the first paragraph and been done with it. We're working with Game Science. We'll let you know when a release date is happening. But they didn't stop there, Gamsley. We cannot comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we remain focused on making Xbox the best platform for gamers, and great games are at the center of that. That tells me that this was another Sony money had a deal, whether it be for a 3-month block, a 6-month block, a 12-month block. They paid Game Science to hold this game back for a bag of cash. Now, is that what happened? Well, maybe you don't think that. Maybe somebody in the chat doesn't think that. That's what I think, because Sony, well, it's interesting. They've been called slimy by the head of Xbox or Microsoft Gaming, and now we kind of know why. This is another one of those deals. Now, again, I know I'm going to get people pushing back in the pack. Hey, boom! It's just business, and you are right. It is just business, but it's disgusting business, because this was originally announced to launch across all platforms all at the same time. The game has been in development for over 5 years. You cannot tell me that they did not have the specs in their possession for the Series X and S. And interestingly enough, we cannot even say that they didn't get help from Microsoft, because they just said that they did. So to me, this is a load of BS. Let's get your hot take.
Yeah, so this is gonna be the problem Microsoft probably runs in for a long time until Game Pass is on full swing. It's to make sure that third-party developers are on their platform day and date. That's the most important thing. They need to make sure that all these games are on the Xbox platform, releasing the same time as everywhere. It's going to be a huge problem for them, only because we know that Sony is going out there with enticing deals, like going out there maybe in the background. It looks harmless. It's like, oh, look, let me help you. Look, have our team. We'll help you. We'll boost your visibility. We'll, send you, I don't know, we'll fund something for you. Just, be on our platform first. I don't think there's a contract out there right now. Basically locking them down by any means. I don't think they're making that deal in the background, or else it would have just said PlayStation 5 launch exclusive, if they did. So they're doing something else. I think they went there first. They're helping the smaller team. PlayStation has the biggest console out there right now. The teams are probably prioritizing the PlayStation version of the game. It's been shown in court that's what they've been doing too. Like Phil Spencer said, look, we're not on the top right now, and Sony gets to kind of come in and negotiate these unofficial things. And I think that's what's happening. It's almost this handshake in the back saying, hey, look, here's a help, here's a team to help you. We'll push you here, focus on us because we're the biggest platform, and so on and so on. And I think Xbox was just left on the side, like they usually freaking are. And I hate that that's a thing. But right now, I think they're just too small to... the console market is just too small for these third parties to really prioritize at the same time if they are small teams and if they are lacking some sort of money or tech. And we could read between the lines. Xbox sent out a team just like they did with Baldur's Gate 3, but we know that Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios weren't paid exactly by Sony to exclude Xbox. They were just having a little bit of issues and prioritizing other platforms first. So that's what's happening here. It's a Larian Studio deal all over again, and I don't think it's an actual deal, but that's an unpopular opinion in a storm of we want to shoot guns at Sony. But yeah, that's my take.
Well, I mean, listen, you're entitled to your opinion. That's why we love having you on this particular show each and every week, because we don't always agree. But you know what? We always walk away like brothers, and
yes,
we may have different opinions. And you know what? That's what great discourse is all about. So,
yes, sir.
And again, I like your stand. I appreciate your stand, sir. Fuzzy, I want to bring you into this conversation because anyone that knows the Twitter site, it's Xbox News for Koreans. It's at Korea Xbox News on X or Twitter. And they were very busy this weekend. Very busy indeed. Now, obviously, they cover a lot of Korean news. And, well, this team is from Korea, from what I understand, right? Game Science. And like I said, they were very busy, chat. And one of their tweets, which I have in front of me, I have quite a few of them, actually. The one I want to open up with is this. They say, the developer/publisher announced the exact Xbox version release date 8 months before the date. But 8 months later, they won't have it completed, the Xbox optimization work that needs to be done. Please let me know if there's another game in video game history like this particular case. My common sense tells me that in order to announce such an exact release date for all platforms, all versions must already be fairly complete. Now, that makes a whole mess of sense to me. Well, that's not the only tweet that they had. They also add, FYI, it's already been documented in U.S. court filings that Sony pays third party to exclude Xbox. And they provided the actual document where it says previous versions of Final Fantasy shipped on Xbox, but the reason that Final Fantasy 16 is a PlayStation exclusive is because Sony paid to exclude Xbox. That's in the court documents. But that's not where it ends. Because I have another tweet. And let me just pull that up right here. They go on to bring up two particular points and cases. How Microsoft reacts when an anticipated game for Xbox has optimization issue, and they have two particular games where Microsoft actually sent the Series S team to get this stuff done. One of which is it came the way of Palworld. On Xbox's part, this is according to Palworld, we're working with Pocket Pair to help provide support for Xbox versions of the game. We're providing support to enable dedicated servers, offering engineering resources to help with the GPU and memory optimizations, speeding up the process to make Palworld updates available for players, and working with the team to optimize our title for the platform. But that's not where it ends. It also goes on to bring up the point where you just mentioned it, Gamsley. Baldur's Gate 3, and Xbox specifically tweets this. In partnership with the talented people at Larian Studios, we're thrilled to share Baldur's Gate 3 will be coming to Xbox later this year. Stay tuned for more details. And of course, it goes on to say, to answer some questions we're getting, we'll continue to work with Larian to explore an additional split screen for the Xbox Series S post-launch. Now, they sent a team there as well. Mm-hmm. Again, different opinions. It's fine. This is one of those, at least for me, disgusting moves by Sony. And what this ultimately does for me, I'm not boycotting the game. I cannot wait to play Black Myth Wukong because of a couple of reasons. One, it looks dope. Two, it's a lore that Mrs. Boom and I really appreciate and enjoy. And three, it is more action-based than it is Souls. So that has me very excited. All right? Mm-hmm. But considering of where this game could potentially land, let's just say for shits and giggles, chat, that this game is a 3-month delay and doesn't land until December. Well, it's a game that, now I'm not buying. Now I'm not giving them my money because, well, Indiana Jones is going to be out in probably December. I'm still going to be playing Avowed. I'm still going to be playing a bunch of other games that are coming out that are not Xbox exclusives, but are going to be a part of the release of the year. You know, you have the new Assassin's Creed. You got the new Star Wars. There is a whole mess of games coming out between now and the end of the year. This releases in August. You have a winner chicken dinner, at least for me, because at least Avowed is not out, right? Because that's supposedly dropping in October. You're probably gonna. I mean, again, Indiana Jones could be November for what we know, but you got Call of Duty in October as well. You also have Indiana Jones. For me, ladies and gentlemen, This gets put on the pay no mind list. I'll buy it when it's on sale. And maybe it's me being a dick. I don't know. But all I know is that it's coming out in a time where I don't have as much time as many other gamers because I produce 5 live shows a week and I still run a household. So I try to get gaming in there in the middle. And this game has now been taken off the must-play list because of this delay. Now, is it because I'm being vindictive? No. It's because there's too much to play, and I'd rather play the other games than play this. Like, am I going to play this over Star Wars or Assassin's Creed or Avowed or Indiana Jones? The answer is no, I will not. So now they've lost a sale. And I'm going to go buy it, but I'm not buying it for full boat. I'm going to buy it when it's on sale. I'm going to get it at the end of the year and get that end of the year, save $20 kind of a deal. Let's get your thoughts on what happened with this game.
I'm kind of torn on a couple of levels of this, and I have to give a shout out to Pong as far as putting it in a way as far as how this could have been a deal, but not necessarily a deal. And we've kind of seen something similar with Callisto Protocol, but amazingly that team released the game on time or at the same time. It's just that it was missing a few features that seemed a little odd, like mirror reflections and things like that. But one of the things that I kind of give the side eye to Xbox, but then again, they're a platform. They can't be sending, a dev team of ninjas to every studio that can't figure out the Series S or can't figure out how to, optimize for their platform. But then again, this was a game that was the most wishlisted game on Steam for a while. So that's one of those they may have sort of kind of nudged a little bit closer. Just so they don't have another Baldur's Gate type of situation. Not saying that it was guaranteed to be a game of the year, but it does have a lot of attention. It does have a lot of eyes, and it's been exciting gaming fans for, the past 3 or 4 years at least. But the thing that Sony tends to do, although it may not be a deal as far as marketing or having the exclusivity, is that they will go to a team, especially a team that may have some veterans on it, but it's a new studio. They're new to producing a game on that platform. Sony is willing to say, this is a game that our player base likes. Let's go ahead and intervene and say, hey, what's the timeline on this game releasing? Because before the announcement, like 8 months prior, where it was announced that it was coming to consoles and PC, it was going to be a PC release and then maybe eventually come to console. But what PlayStation would tend to do, or what's more likely in their thought process, is send a team so that way it can release the same time as PC. Maybe that's a way of excluding Xbox to some extent. Maybe it's another way of looking at it to not have their console be on the secondary cadence as opposed to PC launch. So if they're sending additional help or resources, money, cash, whatever, that's their way of playing kind of the dirty behind the scenes game of keeping stuff on their platform, or at least making sure or ensuring that it's going to be on their platform in a timely manner. Whether that's the case, or if it is more scrupulous where Sony kind of paid money to prioritize their platform, or if it's just the studio looking at the PlayStation player base, being that they sold 100 million consoles or more than 100 million of the PS4, and they're on their way to 50 or 60 million for the PS5. They're like, well, yeah, we could probably stand a better chance of getting more sales on that larger base. Not that Xbox is that far behind. Like, if I'm understanding, it's somewhere in the 40 million range on these current series of consoles, if not more by now. But whatever case, a lot of devs seem to prioritize PlayStation because of it being the market leader as it states in console sales. But for me, I wasn't planning on buying this on console anyway. Just these types of games that are not a first party type of game, I've now kind of pushed to buying those on PC as an option because I have that option. It makes it easier if I should choose to play this on a portable or a handheld, like a Steam Deck that I already own. It makes it a little bit easier, or I can play it on my desktop PC. But I think the bigger thing now is Xbox should probably play the same game. And one of the things I said on like Xbox Ultimate on Friday is they're now, and we're going to get into the whole FTC thing, it looks like they're at the light at the end of the tunnel, even though technically when they closed the deal, they were at the end of the tunnel. But as far as the noise and the drama and the background with the FTC, since they seem to be clearing a lot of that, I would say play the bidding war with Sony. So if it's the case that they're doing these slimy tactics, make it more expensive for them each and every time. And just for example's sake, if we look back at like GTA 4 when it first released, originally it was supposed to be a PS4 exclusive. But Microsoft paid a counter offer. That counter offer also guaranteed that they got the DLC that PS3 didn't get. So there's ways that they could play this game. Sony's bank is only but so big. And it's not to say that Microsoft needs to, go to their coffers of, King Microsoft to be able to, play this game. But some of the profits that Microsoft or that Xbox is making in itself as its own entity are enough to play this game. Maybe not toe for toe in every case with Sony, but definitely make it more expensive, especially while they seem like they want to focus on movie theaters and non-gaming related things. I think this is the better time to strike and kind of, throw your weight around that you have at this moment, especially with things like Call of Duty in your pocket, to make it so, let's say, normally if PlayStation was going to get the marketing rights for a game like this or even Grand Theft Auto, bid 3 to 5 million higher and keep on playing that game until either you one win it or two you make them spend probably an extra 20 million that they don't really want to part with. That's going to eventually take away from their first party. But that's a whole nother way to look at it. But for me, I'm still going to wind up getting this on CD keys, on Steam, get it at a discount cheaper than what it goes for retail on Steam. Yep. And play it that way. But it is not a good look for that studio to kind of allow these things to happen. As we get into this transition in this generation into the next, where there could be a toppling of the market leader, I would say you don't want to necessarily be on the bad side of Microsoft or Xbox at this point in time. So whatever they got to do to get that thing as close to August release, I think would be in their best interest. But either way you look at it, Microsoft needs to play the same dirt behind the scenes in some cases. Maybe they don't want to get their clothes dirty or whatever, but I think at this point, since the FTC is less likely to scrutinize every move you make, I think it's time to play a little of these games. I mean, Matt Booty said it in an email, we need to spend about a business kind of thing. Show some of that same fire and maybe make Sony regret some of these types of sending dev teams out early just to guarantee or have a prioritize for PlayStation and see how they enjoy that aspect. But I've rambled on enough about it.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like I said, like on the top, we said almost the same thing. They really need, the challenge for Xbox is really getting to these smaller teams, because right now what they're doing is making sure that they get the Assassin's Creeds and the big publishers and the big games at the moment, but they're kind of sidelining the diamonds in the rough here, like a Wukong, like that's interested, and Sony seems to be very good at with their eyes on those types of things, so they're beating them in that way, which I think honestly is just fair play. And they're always going to prioritize the big guy, the big leader, right? If they're having dev problems or whatever they are, which they probably are because they're smaller, but that's going to be the huge challenge for Xbox, is to keep everything in parity until they're big enough, like you said, to reap the benefits of the ABK deal, get the Call of Duty going and rolling, getting Game Pass gigantic, right? So nobody would dare to even skip Xbox because they're so big. But until then, how do you do it? Well, exactly like Sony is. You scout out the guys, you go there, you see what game's going to be big, or you have to, yeah, it's like picking the draft pick, right? You got to go over there and be like, oh, that guy's going to be amazing, and invest. And that's what Sony's good at. So Xbox just got to keep their eyes open and hold out until they're big enough to not have to go around scared that they're going to lose a exclusive that's not really an exclusive or paid exclusive. But yeah,
and to give Xbox and Microsoft credit, they have gotten better at eyeing those scout picks. Like Ion Life was one, Atomic
Yeah.
Heart to some extent as well,
Yep.
because that wound up in Game Pass day and date, and more recently Expedition 33. So they
Yes,
are
sir.
good at picking some of those out, but it's almost like the ones that are the most wish listed on Steam, which is not always the best marker because what was it, the day before or whatever that scam was another one of those types of deals. But looking at something like that, Black Myth Wukong, it's almost like that
Pal
should have
World.
been the one that they should have went for.
Pal
But yeah,
World was
Power
also
World was
another
another
one.
nice discovery
Yeah.
on their end that they courted. So they're getting much better, but it's always like the one that slips by is the one that gets the most attention kind of thing. It's almost like the same deal with Stellar Blade, where that was another one that was announced to be coming to all platforms, and then magically all of that disappeared, and it just came to PlayStation, and
Yeah,
it still hasn't
and
come to PC yet.
Chat-
So it's like,
Chat's on the money too, right? Lies of P. Like,
yeah, Lies of P,
they're very good at that. But that's the key, is that they are doing it right. They are
Mhm.
keeping up, but it's like they just have to keep their foot on the pedal and see what's up. But I don't think they, but that's all they can do, right? So
Right. Yeah, they
yeah.
can't send like a team to every studio that exists that's making a game. That would be unreasonable at that point. But they're definitely getting a better eye. But this is one that I kind of feel they maybe should have focused on a little bit more. But if we get things like Expedition 33, I'm fine with it at this point.
I wonder, to your point, Fuzzy, that because they have so much of their own first party for the second half of 2024, maybe they were like, yeah, you know what, it's fine. We'll just take this L. I don't know if that's the facts, folks. I'm just spitballing here. They literally, again, for me as a gamer who has limited time in a 24-hour day of how much I can spend in front of the TV because I have other responsibilities outside of my health and working out 4 days a week now, and taking care of a household, and of course running 5 shows. I don't have as much time as I used to. But for me, because I'm limited in time, Xbox is a priority for me. This game isn't. This game has now fallen off of my must play list for this year because it's not releasing in August, which would have been a great time to get into. Now, this is not a game that I would have plowed through because it does have Souls elements, and there were some instances that I got real serious Elden Ring vibes, which is great. But it's gonna, if again, we don't know what the delay is. We're only suggesting that it's going to be 3 months. It could be 6 months. Hell, it could be an entire year for all we know. We just don't, because no one is saying anything. What they are saying is that, and of course, I'm glad Microsoft did this, because the way that Game Science responded is if it was an Xbox Series S problem, and it turns out that's not the case. It turns out that there was some money hatting involved, and they made a particular console priority, which we know happens. And listen, it is what it is. But again, as someone that would have bought this game day and date, now I'm going to just wait for a sale and play it when I add it to the ridiculous backlog that I have. Thank you. Thanks for saving me money. But, gentlemen.
Yeah. Can I say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just want to end all of this. One last thing, like for people in chat saying, the game doesn't matter, this doesn't matter, that doesn't matter. That's how Xbox is where they are right now. Like, oh, well, for the longest time, Final Fantasy and Square Enix games and all these Japanese games skipping the platforms, Sega, Persona, blah, blah, blah. The community of some of games that are always skipping this platform is the reason why people pick up a PlayStation. That's a big reason why things are the way they are. So you have to have, if you're Xbox, you have to have parity on the hot stuff, or quote unquote, the hot stuff that's coming out. Up to this point, Xbox is shifting in that direction and getting the partners. They got Sega, they got Capcom, they're getting Square Enix. They just have to put their foot on the pedal. That's all we're saying. But it's very shallow to think, well, I don't care about this game, nobody else does. It's like, no, pretty sure, people care about games that look nice, and people care about Final Fantasy games and all that, and that makes a purchase to the competition's platform when they should be third party. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it
I mean,
does
listen,
matter,
again,
guys.
it
really does matter.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, for me, I'm entitled to my opinion, unlike, of course, who was it that said I should wake up? Candy Rub in the chat says there's no money hatting, because I'm sure he knows you're sitting in on the business meetings, kind sir. I'm sure that you are well aware of everything that's going on. I'm entitled to my opinion, which I believe there is
sorry.
money hatting.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the way it is. But again, they lost the sale for me.
Silver Afro in the chat. Look at me in the eyes. I just said Xbox is getting very good at it. The way they grow out of whatever slump they're in is to continue being good at it as they grow.
Yes.
But if you're trying to grow and things are skipping your platform, you're not growing. So that's the point. So as they're growing, as they get name recognition, which is very important, you have to nail down third-party publishers because that is what's selling the console most of the time. So I know what you're saying. We're saying the same thing, so don't come after me.
Well, I mean, listen, this has been a hot topic. It's been an emotional topic. Because again, it's for me, they just lost a sale, and that's fine. That's just the way it is. I will get it on sale, or I'll do exactly what Fuzzy's doing and go to CD Keys and get the Xbox version for cheap. That's perfectly fine. But again, it's if it releases in 3 months after, it's going to find itself in a bit of a bind for me as a gamer because I have other games that I'm going to prioritize. But with that said, listen, again, have your opinion, folks. There's no reason to get heated with one another over it. It's fine. It's just that it's disappointing when you have a game that gets announced, it's documented that it's releasing for all the platforms. It's been in development for all 3 major platforms for 5 years, and at the 11th hour, it gets delayed. It's just suspicious. But let me catch up on super chats, and of course, we'll move on to the next topic. I'm going to get into Avowed. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Slippery slope for Xbox to have send teams and resources and money to get games on the platform, especially with Microsoft being the richest company in the world." Yeah, it's interesting because I had a conversation with someone, which of course is a private conversation, but I'll make mention of it, that does, sending teams and paying extra money to get a game onto your platform when the other ones aren't is a dangerous game, because what's going to happen is once you do it once, people are going to expect it, especially that particular company you're working with, and then when other companies find out, they're like, "Oh, Xbox, well, you spent money here to get the game. I'm gonna, you know what? Let's you got to give me more money now. We're gonna prioritize PlayStation." So I think that what we're gonna see happen is the platform is going to get so big, specifically because of Call of Duty, that, and tomorrow we're going to get into it because VGC ran a story that I'm reading through right now. They polled a whole mess of PlayStation gamers, and 46% of those gamers said that if Call of Duty goes into Game Pass, they're leaving PlayStation. So I'll drop it so you guys can take a look at it. It's a pretty interesting read, and it
Powerful.
does potentially open up some eyes. 46% of gamers polled, and I don't have the exact number because I'm still reading the story. But let's say, for instance, it's 1,000 people. And well, okay, what's 1,000 gamers? Well, 1,000 gamers to start of 5,000 gamers, and then 10,000 gamers, and it just grows from there. So that's a story we're going to get into tomorrow specifically. JT Koo drops a very generous $5 super chat, and he says, "Good afternoon, Boom, Gamsley, and Fuzzy. Hope all is well. Great day to you, man." Well, brother, thank you so much for the kind words and of course the generosity. Yes, it has been a really good day. A little hot for me. I hate the summer. I cannot wait for September to get here already. After summer in New York, not cool. But JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Yeah, I saw that. Eurogamer is trashing Elden Ring. Shows how how biased they are. The ponies are salty still that it won Game of the Year instead of God of War, which to me was boring." Eurogamer gave it a 3 out of 5, but I think it was because of the difficulty, not because the game sucks, which is, I mean, it's a From Software game. Those games are hard, man. But it's gotten a lot of mixed reviews. I haven't played it. I'm not going to play it. I'd have to relearn the whole game. I haven't played in over a year. That's a DLC that I wind up getting to when it's on sale. Because I'm playing other things that are taking my time. But thank you so much for that, brother. Highlander 001, who's a generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, "My daughter won a Good Citizen Award at school." Dude, congratulations. That is freaking awesome. It was $200, and she wanted to buy pizza for her class and give the rest to Make-A-Wish so kids with cancer could have fun. I covered the pizza part. Dude, you have an incredible daughter. That proves to me that humanity has a chance because of people like your daughter. Give her a high five for that, brother. That is freaking amazing. Thank you for sharing that story. My hope in humanity has been once again rekindled. Mr. Eldrick, who's been a channel member for 3 months. And Mr. Eldrick, thank you so much for the generosity. He says, "Will this money hat from Sony affect Xbox games going to PlayStation? Probably not." Look, here's the thing. Microsoft wants to make money. They're making a whole lot of money, not so much with Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment. We know those did not do well on PlayStation. But Sea of Thieves is doing really well, and so is Grounded. So Phil was interviewed, and when he was talking, he specifically said sliming tactics. What was he referring to? Well, I know who he was referring to. PlayStation. Now, was that simply about Call of Duty or other things? I personally think it's other things. Again, a perfect example of, it's kind of being spiteful. Not that it matters. I understand it's business, but if it is business, how come Horizon Lego releases on the PlayStation and the Switch, but not the Xbox? If it's about business, a little suspicious, right? It's okay. Sony, they're in a tailspin, ladies and gentlemen. They can play hard to get all they want. I'm not saying they're going out of business. They're not going anywhere. There's going to be a PlayStation 6 potentially. I'm kind of starting to side with King David, who's always Mr. 98.9% right of the time. I'm just saying. If you like King David, he's always mostly right. Maybe there's not a PlayStation 6, but Sony, they're going to have to change their ways because they cannot keep being Sony of old. The new bosses in charge are not going to allow for it, but we'll see. Sir X-Men, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat, and he says, more upset about Marvel vs. Capcom series collection than Wukong. Well, it's interesting. I wasn't going to bring it up, but being that you made mention of it, so I was under the impression, you heard me say this, folks, that it was the MT software, right? That's what I thought it was. Turns out that's not, in fact, the case at all. Because if you are a fan of Maximilian Dude, who is Mr. Fighter himself, he literally just had a live stream over the weekend where he brought up the fact that the Street Fighter collection and the other fighting collection and a few of the other games that I have, like the beat 'em up collection, like with all the side-scrolling beat 'em ups, I own all of them. They all released on the Xbox One, not on the Xbox Series X or S, but they're backwards compatible, which is exactly what's happening with Sony. It's not releasing on a PS5; it's releasing on a PS4, where, of course, you then could using backwards compatibility, play that game on your PS5. He said something to the effect of he's not sure if Microsoft allowed for an Xbox One version to be made. I don't know if that's true or it's not, but that could be an issue, because if there was an Xbox One version being made, it would release, and of course, you'd be able to play it on your Xbox Series X and S the same way I'm able to play all the other collections. So I don't know if this was a Microsoft decision, a Capcom decision, or a bit of both. No one is saying anything, so we can't make assumptions. But look, I would rather play it on my Xbox when I'm going to buy it for the Switch, and it's fine. I'm disappointed, just like you, brother. Marvel vs. Capcom, that's like tip of the spear for Capcom games. and one of my favorite in the series. It sucks that Xbox gamers are going to miss out. But, you know, such is life. We have a couple more super chats that popped in here, and then we will get to the next topic. Highlander 001 still drops an additional very generous $2 super chat. And he says, I still want my tank. LOL. And of course, that's the tank he wants to buy. And his wife said, no, you can't buy a tank. Good on your wife. You don't want a tank rolling around your neighborhood, brother. And Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 super chat. Of course you do. Polling numbers are skewed. If you polled people watch porn, you would not think that it's a multi-billion-dollar. It's people act differently than vote. Yeah, I mean that's true. I don't even know how to respond to that, but you are onto something. Game by Choice. Thank you for the additional $5 super chat. I'm gonna go in reverse order. Fuzzy, I want to bring you in first. So Hazardor Gaming, who is a incredible, prominent member of this community, he has been tweeting about Avowed, and obviously it must be because he's excited about the game, but he does put out a lot of news daily. And what we learned from the director of Avowed is that it's going to have multiple endings that's bound to contribute to its replay value. A couple of very, very big choices are expected that the players are going to have to make at the end. Now, now he posted this, but the interview or the article that I'm pulling up is from Game Informer, which is one of my favorite print magazines. I still get it in print. I love them over there. It was written by Kyle Hillard on June 20th. It was posted at 2 p.m. And of course, it goes on to say Avowed's creators on why romance was considered, but ultimately not included in the game, which is fine. And it does have some Skyrim comparisons. And it goes on to say, and I'm reading the story verbatim from the article, Avowed was featured as a major part of the Xbox Summer presentation. The game appeared in the, of course, the Xbox Games Showcase. With new footage, game director Carrie Patel appeared on the official Xbox podcast to share more gameplay and share more about the game. We caught up with Patel and the gameplay director Gabe Parmaro to find out even more about Avowed and covering what they think of comparisons to Skyrim, how they feel about Baldur's Gate 3, and why romance was considered for the game but ultimately not included, and why playing the Outer Worlds may give you the best idea what to expect from Avowed. So look, this is, for me, rocketed to one of my most anticipated games, Fuzzy. I think there is a lot to be excited about. It is Obsidian. Obsidian has made incredible stories and RPGs in their history. Obviously, we go all the way back to Knights of the Old Republic 2. You can go back and keep going back if you want. Fallout, New Vegas, The Outer Worlds. For me, I absolutely loved it. The DLC was phenomenal from start to finish. One of the things that I took away playing that game is it gave me a lot of like real serious Mass Effect vibes because of the party and the choice that you made with the people that were part of your crew. Some of you didn't pay much mind to, and the stories didn't evolve because you didn't put enough time into it. And other stories or other characters, their stories evolved because you paid attention to it. It appears that's going to be the case with this. This has me excited. I was excited because it's Avowed, and it's a new IP, and it's from Pillars of the Eternity series that I have never played. So I don't have a connection to some of these characters. But what's interesting, and another piece from this interview that I pulled, was that the game is start to finish, if you're just burning through the game, minimum 30 hours, which I think is a pretty fair amount of time from start to finish. But this is not one of those games where you're just going to burn through it, because what we learned in the direct a couple of months ago was the fact that it is going to have places and paths that if you don't look for them, you will miss. and they're saying that they're pretty big areas. So this tells me this game is pretty big. Let's get your hot take on some of the new information that came out of this interview from Game Informer.
Well, I'm glad they went to extra detail as far as what to expect for this game. Just short of doing like a full direct, kind of like what they did for Starfield type of deal. And they've kind of mixed in a few things that people may not have picked up right away on as far as like the third person's perspective, which I always enjoy playing games in that. As far as like if you have the option, more than likely I'll play in third person more times than not, but first person is fine in a lot of games. And I like the magic. It's going to sound so funny saying this, but magic hands where you have like the ring of like inscriptions and things like that, and you're using like elements and things along those lines. I love how they updated the I guess you could say the animations of those, as well as the animations in general for the combat. But they've slipped a lot of things that kind of went under the radar, and now that they're talking more about it as far as the size and scope of the game, where if you've played the Outer Worlds, you can expect this to be, I would say, around the same type of time frame. Yes, Outer Worlds had a quick option to finish in like less than 10 hours, but that was not the good ending kind of thing. That was you basically selling somebody out type of deal. But aside from that, I expect that this is going to be that game where, yeah, you can burn through it in 30 hours, but you're probably going to spend double that trying to find other secrets, trying to find better gear, crafting better stuff, because it seems like you can tell when your weapons aren't as effective, like the little mushroom head people that they showed in one of the combat scenes. It's like, yeah, they're swiping at them like 5 or 6 times and it's not hurting them, or at least it doesn't seem like it, compared to other enemies where, one swipe and they're downed or whatever. So it's going to be all about, knowing your gear, knowing your weapons versus the enemies you fight, the decisions you make, the party members that you decide to keep with you, or the decisions on which side or which party member to side with kind of thing, I think are all great aspects for this game. Yes, I know a lot of people would probably like to have it where it's like an Elder Scrolls Light kind of thing, where it's hundreds of hours of replayability. You could probably get that out of this if playing it different ways and things like that. But I would say this is like the perfect size game for Obsidian to have us play for probably a couple of months, possibly even revisit and them have possible updates as far as expansions, much like they did with the Outer Worlds, which I'm hoping they kind of do that same type of approach, although without 505 Games being as greedy or stingy, or maybe it was Private Division that was causing those price hikes for each updated version and stuff. But yeah, I look forward to this game. I figure this will be the perfect holdover between when it releases to at least get us to Indiana Jones. Hopefully I can finish this, or at least finish the main line or main quest of the story by the time Indiana Jones comes out. But if not, this will be a game I probably continue to play and then either pick up Indiana Jones afterwards, or start playing it afterwards, or possibly put it on pause and then hop to Indy. But I always love like magic and a variety of different weapon combat. Like the fact that I think they have pistols or like firearms in this, not like modern firearms, but like old style firearms, swords, magic, all of that stuff is going to be for a fun adventure type of game. And I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, there's a lot of unique stuff to this that I like. And the fact that it's now in third person, you get to see some of the gear that you put on, which I know that probably sounds weird, but somebody that's played so much Division, yeah, the gear matters to some extent. So yeah, definitely looking forward to this September, October-ish. So can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, again, the date, potentially leaked in November. I think it was November 12th. I think if that's what it was. And then obviously it was pulled. So we'll see what happens. We know that it's coming this year, which is great. The game looks, every time I've seen it, Gamsley, the game looks better. One of the things I think they really did take to heart was some of the criticism that came out of the way of the enemies didn't seem like they were punchy enough. Like, what I'm saying? Like you really felt like you were doing damage when you swung your sword or when you shot your gun. That was very old build. I'm happy that we've seen some newer gameplay that looks phenomenal, especially to Fuzzy's point, the magic. The magic looked really intimidating It looked really bombastic, if you will. Some of the new information, especially again for me as someone that does not mind FPS, but if giving a choice and I get a chance to see the character, I'm probably going to play that mostly through that. But when it comes to the magic, I'm kind of like right with Fuzzy. I really want to enjoy what it looks like when you're casting the magic from the first person's perspective, and maybe when you're swinging the sword, you get into third person, or even when you're shooting the guns, you get into third person. It's going to be very interesting. I'm happy that that choice is there. Let's get your hot take on some of the new information that came the way of some of the not only the interviews, but some of the information that they put out there themselves.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that people are realizing what Obsidian games are. I'm so proud of you guys, and I'm so proud of you guys for understanding what an RPG is at this caliber. I'm really proud of us as a whole unit to understand who Obsidian is and what they make. But yeah, this is always the cycle. They gotta wait. Like, of course the animations and the strikes and the conversational stuff is there. Of course third person is there. They didn't show it, they weren't ready. It's a normal cycle of showing the game, promoting it, getting people hyped about it. And then we get pieces like this coming out to reassure the crazy people that this was going to be anything but what exactly it was going to be. It doesn't. I was always excited for it. I told you day one, the first time I saw this game, I knew what it was. I know Obsidian. I know the universe that they're building around. So I'm super excited for this. I do agree, man. When they showed that like extended gameplay where he's fighting the mushroom like sorcerer people things, and his hand pops out and that flamethrower comes out, like that fire spell comes out, the channeling spell, and it just burns him alive. Man, it looks so pretty. They got really nice like effects going on with the gestures and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm super excited. There's nothing really else to say here. I do hope that it is as deep as an Obsidian game can get, because I think the lingering kind of pressure that we say might not be there, but is pretty much there after Baldur's Gate 3. I hope nobody starts to compare what's not there, because that's the advantages of going the way of Larian and choosing that art style and that genre of game versus
again,
full 3D world.
ARPGs, not for me.
Yeah. And I hope people understand that with choices like that, you can get the deeper connections with the same time frame. So this is going to be Skyrim with choice, or not even Skyrim, Outer Worlds with choice and fantasy, and that's what you should go in expecting in this game. There's no love and sex and children and stuff like that. All right,
you're not banging a bear. That's for sure.
You're not banging a bear. You're definitely not banging a bear.
So that's that.
You're recruiting a bear, but that's all you're doing with bears, my friend. So
you know what? I got some context for you, and I'm going to bring this back around to Fuzzy in a second. So Rebs Gaming, he's another amazing community member, and he puts out a lot of stuff. Obviously, he talks a lot of Halo, but he specifically put up a tweet that's interesting, and I want to bring some context to. You just said you had concern that you want this to be a classic Obsidian RPG game. Well, I got a statement here for you that should calm all fears, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. So Rebs Gaming goes on to say, Avowed was being developed as a co-op game, but 8 months into development, they stopped that. And Obsidian decided they wanted to create, quote unquote, a classic Obsidian RPG experience that focuses on what they're best at, which is story. And there you go. I think that does answer your question. Yeah. What are your thoughts on with that?
I'm just excited. I love these guys. I love these guys. I love the games they try to create and make. They have they have, and I'm gonna sound weird and nuts here and maybe connect threads that maybe they're not there, but I really said this in the earlier episodes with when I met you, Boom. I think that games are being created to hit our dopamine instead of our curiosity nowadays. And Obsidian and people like From Software and all these other guys, they really try to nail our curiosity still. And just hearing this is, I hope Obsidian stays with that formula. Hit our curiosity, make us like ask ourselves what happens if I do this and have it happen. And that's what Baldur's Gate did like phenomenally. Like if you could, and Larian, the guys at Larian, if you thought about something or you tried something, you'd be rewarded. That's building off of curiosity and not dopamine. Okay. And I hope that Obsidian shows us they could still do that because they've done it in the past. So yeah, I love everything about this, and I just hope we get Obsidian. That's it.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Fuzzy, I'm going to bring this back around to you because Rebs Gaming did add some additional context to here that I did not know about. I found it literally as I'm scrolling through the stuff I sent myself, and this is pretty interesting. This game was originally going to be a co-op game, which I think a lot of people would have enjoyed. Now, I don't normally play through co-op unless it's Gears, and that's with my brother. And again, it's just a time thing. It's not an antisocial thing. I play with gamers all the time. It's just that I don't have enough time to, hey, guys, let's meet at 8 o'clock and let's go. I just don't have the time. But I'm happy to know that the powers that be were like, listen, we need to create a game with entries of what people expect an Obsidian game to be. That is story-driven, that is fantasy, that has a lot of power with the characters that you interact with, whether they be antagonists or protagonists. And I love this statement here. Obsidian decided to create a classic Obsidian RPG experience and focus on what they're best at. That, to me, is a winner-winner chicken dinner. What are your thoughts?
I just like the fact that they keep a tight story and don't let like a feature creep get into their games. Like that's the big thing. Like looking back at like Outer Worlds 2, or not Outer Worlds 2, the original Outer Worlds, with that game, it didn't have like a lot of what you would expect new features in a space genre type of game, but it kept you interested and engaged in the entire story the entire time without wondering like, oh, am I flying to this planet or can I land the ship here kind of thing. It kind of took a lot of that stuff out of your hands without it seeming like you're missing anything. So the fact that they nailed it down where it's not a co-op game, which would have probably been, I wouldn't say it would be a stretch for them, but I'm pretty sure they can handle making a co-op game, but it adds another layer of things of, well, is that co-op member interacting with the other NPCs, and could that then take away from the story? And it winds up being a matter of where sometimes co-op is great, but then it has its repercussions where either only one person gets progress or something to that effect. But like what they've done with Grounded, they are actually, I think, teaching what do you call it, Undead Labs, how to do the co-op untethered type of deal. But taking all of that away from it, just keeping it an RPG, keeping it story focused in the Pillars of Eternity universe, and making it about the decisions you make, the party members you choose, and who you side with, or how you go about, your business in the game, I think is their best course of action. It keeps it, it keeps it simple enough where you don't have to constantly do updates, but you can do DLC later, maybe a side quest. Well, not really a side quest, but like an add-on like they did with Outer Worlds. So yeah, it's great that they kept it concise, didn't bloat it too much, and make it where instead of it being able to be released in a matter of like a few months from now, where if they kept all the other things in it, it would probably be another 2 to 3 years before we see it type of deal. So kudos on them.
Yeah, I agree. Look, at the end of the day, lots of information has come out for this game. And I want to shout out Bear Zoo in the chat. He says, please give Jez Corden the credit for the story. Well, I don't have his story in front of me, brother. If he reported on this, awesome. If you're new to the channel, because I've never seen your name before, welcome. I am going to say that stick around, and you will see that every time I pull a story, credit is given where credit is due. I know Jez personally, whether you know that or you don't. I've met him multiple times, and we talk like friends. So I know Jez. So whenever I'm going to use a story from Jez Corden of Windows Central, him and whoever's writing the article get full credit each and every time I use it, because that's what we do here. FYI, I know you dropped a super chat, and I will get to it in a second, but please don't be finger pointing and accusatory as if I'm stealing this from Jez. I don't have Jez's story in front of me.
For context, you're both not in the wrong in any way, because he said it in the Xbox 2 podcast apparently, and that's not an article straight out, but he did only I think he only said it in an Xbox 2 podcast. So if you didn't listen to it, you didn't know.
I mean, again, anyone that tunes into this show understands that, first of all, we are transparent, honesty, integrity. That's tip of the spear for us. When I use someone's story, they get first and last name credit in my podcast, live on the air, whether they know about it or not. And I happen to know Jez personally. Like, I hung out with him in LA a couple of weeks ago. I know Jez. And when I am going to use his stuff, brother, he always gets full credit. So, again, I appreciate you sticking up for Jez, but it's not like we're trying to bamboozle him in any way. That's not how we roll. But look, I am very excited for this game. The third-person mode, the new information on the fact that they're going to do what Obsidian is known for. They're going to tell a deep, deep story. It's going to have great play mechanics. If you've ever been a fan of any of their games prior, which I am, I'm in for it here. The only one-to-one that I don't have is I've never played Pillars of Eternity. That's never been a game because it's an ARPG. I don't like those. I tried a Baldur's Gate 3. I put a couple hours into it, and I was like, "Yep, this is just not for me." At least I gave it the old college effort. But no, this is exciting. This is one of the games that's one of my most anticipated, right along with Indiana Jones. And Xbox is hitting on all cylinders, at least in my opinion. But gentlemen, we still have about 22 minutes left of the show, because normally this is one of the smaller shows of the week. It's 90 minutes, give or take, unless there's some like major breaking news and we have like a panel of 17 people. Then, of course, it's longer. Gamzee, I want to go right to you, because over the weekend, it has been reported that there's some movement with the FTC versus Microsoft concerning the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King. Now, I've said this before. I find that this hold up by Lena Khan's FTC to be nothing short of foolhardy. The entire world has approved this deal except for the FTC. To me, it is a losing battle, because they wanted to stop the deal because they were afraid Microsoft was going to hold content away from the market leader, who by far is the market leader by leaps and bounds. Again, ridiculous. Well, if you remember the court case, and I think that we all do, the lead attorney has recused himself, meaning he has removed himself from this case. What that tells me is that the case is winding down. That if you listen to anyone like Post Up or Florian Mueller, who is a big part of the Xbox news for this case, and several others, it does appear that this is winding down. They don't have a case. Well, Garrett Atkins posted a pretty detailed tweet regarding the latest FTC versus Microsoft update for June 6th. Now, who is Garrett Atkins? Well, he is the editor-in-chief for VGT Gaming News. That is who he is. He follows me, which I didn't know, and I followed him, which I did remember following him when the website became a thing, and that's pretty cool. But what he went on to say was the FTC versus Microsoft court case over the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King has officially received a minor update, as a complaint has been withdrawn as of June 6th, 2024. I somewhat expect that any plans that Microsoft Gaming / Xbox has to bring old ABK games to Xbox Game Pass, cloud gaming, and plans to roll out upgrades to its cloud gaming are not completed, unrelated to the official closure of the case, considering its basis on the cloud gaming industry and ABK's library of games. Now, there's been a lot of people, and this is where we get, listen, there's a lot of legal technical stuff here. I don't want to get into it because it goes over my mohawk. And all I want to get into is the fact that based on this information, the original lawyer, the lead attorney, has recused himself. If he's leaving the case, that means that there's no case. That goes on to say that according to Garrett Atkins in his tweet, that the complaint has been withdrawn as of June 6, 2024. Now, what does that mean? What that means, if they're withdrawing the complaint, there is no longer a complaint. How long does this take to get done? Now, there's been a lot of question, Gamsley. We all, and I think everyone here, expected for Microsoft during that Call of Duty Direct, at the end of it, to have the one more thing like they did with Gears. As of today, X, Y, and Z, Call of Duty games and Xbox Game Pass, along with all of the other Activision Blizzard King games dropping into the service. It is going to be a big draw. That did not happen. And he believes that's because this case is still ongoing. The minute this case is officially done, all of those games are going to drop. How, in what order, we don't know. There is literally so much content. I don't know if they could drop everything in one shot. It would seem like it would be too much. So it's probably going to be doled out over the course of a couple of weeks. You maybe get 5 Call of Duties per week, per month, maybe. I don't know. But I just want to get your hot take on the thought that this case could eventually now be over. What's your thoughts and theories about this, Gamsley?
Well, certainly something goes around, something goes on in the background, and some hands might be tied to certain things, and this certainly does feel like whenever something closes for good, which I don't think it's real. There's someone also within Microsoft, I think in the court case, like they agreed of some interior, I don't know, some person to always look after what they're trying to do so they don't, go back on their word. Like they have a third party always looking at their stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's completely gone, but it's always good when you could, shake hands and leave the courtroom and everything's closed and documents are done, and then you could go along with business as you so plan on doing. So yeah, certainly maybe something was being held back. I think it's just time. They're still working on stuff to make it possible. That's my stance, but if there was something holding it back, it certainly would look like this was one of those things and could have been one of those things. And for people that are in the know, it does look like that's the thing. So we'll see what happens. I'm ready for all this stuff to drop on Game Pass. I'm ready for cloud stuff to be more flowy. Whenever you could final thoughts, whenever I don't have much to say, whenever you handshake a deal and everything closes, it's a good day for business and you could go and do your thing. You have the rules set in front of you and you can just work on making things possible at that point. And I think that's where Xbox is at the moment. And that's always good for us in the ecosystem. So yeah, let's see a full swinging Xbox. I would like that.
Yeah, that makes 2 of us. I think most Xbox Game Pass subscribers are waiting for that behemoth of a drop, Fuzzy Belvedere, when it comes
it's
to
going to be crazy.
It's going to be just absolutely bonkers. And again, tip of the spear of the conversation is the fact that you are getting the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 confirmed to be in Game Pass day and date. I did like that Phil Spencer came out and said that, nothing is being held back. The game is being released. Everyone's getting the same game. And I don't think he did that for us. We kind of knew that already. I think that was done for the FTC to kind of like pour salt on the wound of stupidity. because that's what this case was from beginning. Yes, when everyone was blocking it, or you had people that were blocking it, like the CMA, I can understand the stance of the FTC. But when everyone, and I mean everyone, started to approve this deal, and of course, if you look at what they've done in the last couple of months, their games are freaking everywhere, which is exactly what they said they were going to do, and they continued to keep up with their end of the bargain. This blockade from Lena Khan's FTC is done. And I'm happy that, I cannot wait for the official wording for FTC. Now they're going to try and chalk this up as a W. We made Microsoft, make games everywhere. We stuck by our guns, and that's fine. If that's what they believe. But let's get your hot take on the fact. Do you, along with me, believe that the lead attorney recusing himself, leaving the case, is pretty much the telltale signs that this thing is done?
Yeah. Well, that's certainly. That was for Fuzzy. I'm so sorry.
No worries. No, I definitely think it's something that they didn't have much of a case to stand on to begin with, and with Microsoft making those 4 games that test or whatever, I think they would have a even tougher uphill battle fighting that in court. When Microsoft is already doing above and beyond what even the FTC would consider something that would be acceptable. So I think at this point, that lead attorney recusing himself, I think it's kind of the writing on the wall. Now, there's also the other end of things. I don't want to get into politics, but an election right around the corner, they can't really, if they don't have something that they can make actionable right away, or at least get a ball rolling and get something started now, chances are they're not going to have as much of an opportunity after January. And it's not to say who gets in office or whatever, anything along those lines, but there is a certain time window that they would need to focus on getting these cases either resolved or at least getting them started and the ball rolling, kind of thing. But all of that aside, this is kind of what I was hinting to earlier, where I think Microsoft can now, not saying they should play in the same dirt that Sony plays in, but they kind of use some of their weight and connections with some of these partnerships with some of the bigger companies to their advantage. Not saying they should do this, because then they'll bring more scrutiny and eyes on them anyway. I mean, the FTC is already looking at suing Adobe and Apple, and they already are questioning Microsoft and Nvidia and a few others about AI. So there's always other cases that I guess the FTC feels is more pertinent, which the whole AI thing I can kind of see to some extent. I really wish that they would focus more so on better consumer protections, which would, knock back Sony as far as their no refunds on games downloaded kind of thing. But nobody wants to talk about that. But no, in the grand scheme of things, I think this is the light at the end of the tunnel. It's basically been a lame duck this entire time, and now it just seems more of a lamer duck, and hopefully that allows Microsoft to make other announcements. Like I know he tried to hint that it wasn't connected in saying that, oh, well, a lot of the Activision stuff wasn't talked about or announced officially because this is still kind of looming in the background. But maybe there is some truth to that, as far as like, why would you announce something that you may have to reverse? Worst case scenario, it went to court kind of thing. Why not wait until the final nails on the coffin of the case, and then you make the announcement, which could be Gamescom or TGS or something like that. So I know there's a lot of people patiently waiting for a lot of the back catalog of Activision. And I know there's some, technical stuff that has to go on behind the scenes to make all of that happen. Like the first example was Diablo, Call of Duty being the next big example, but sometime in between that, who knows? Maybe we wake up one morning and, all of the back catalog or the first batch of the back catalog makes it into Game Pass. But it's good to see that this case is wrapping up or finally being put to bed, and now we can move on with the future of Microsoft and Xbox and Activision and enjoy the perks of Game Pass and see where they go from there. And I think now it's time for Microsoft to take the gloves off and start wielding that power with some of the third parties, like we talked about earlier. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Personally, once this is done, I mean, like officially done, I would like to see a couple of studios be brought in house. Crystal Dynamics being one of those. Obviously, Crystal Dynamics is a big part of what's happening with Perfect Dark. There's going to be a sequel, obviously. So you're going to want that team that worked on this from the ground up after the initiative doing what they do and moving on to a next project. You want to see them hang around. Eidos Montreal, who is helping with Fable, is another incredibly talented team. I'd like to see them be brought in house as well. I think it would be a really big deal. And again, I know that King David had some conversation about potentially some deals being made, maybe even acquiring another publisher. I don't doubt that they will, to be quite honest with you. They're going to continue to add to their ridiculous portfolio. And the only thing holding them up is this last ditch effort from the FTC, which ultimately is going to be another loss for Lena Khan. But look, at the end of the day, I'm happy to know that it appears the deal is just going to stay where it is. You're not going to get any more pushback from the FTC because they don't have a freaking leg to stand on. And when the head lawyer recuses himself from it, that should all but tell you that the case is pretty much done. Because then he would obviously want to hang around to try and win the case. He knows he can't. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Let me catch up on the last super chats over here. We have BBL X-Man. What's up, Sir X-Man? Hopefully you're doing well. He says this after dropping a £2 super chat. Sir X-Man's brother here dropping by to say hello. Oh, okay. I mean, I hope, welcome, Sir X-Man's brother. Thank you so much for the generosity and appreciate you being here. We also have Traybone408 _. Traybone, thank you so much for the continued support. He has been a channel member, ladies and gentlemen, for 10 long months. And he goes on to say, Xbox games won't miss the Xbox. They will be in Game Pass day and date. So why are these people fear-mongering like games are going to other platforms will have people leave? Dude, I'm just going to say this. I personally find it hilarious that there is anyone doubting what Xbox is going to do today, tomorrow, 5 years from now. I mean, just look at the lineup. So someone put a graphic up yesterday that made the rounds, and it had 65 confirmed Xbox Game Pass games that start from current where we are for the next 2 years. And that's just what we know. Like, go look at that list. I tweeted about it. Ridiculous. Like, if that, how could you find negativity in that? How could anyone that's not a troll or just a miserable MF look at that game show and be like, yep, that Xbox failing again, failing upwards? Look, I've said this before. I said it in jest, but I really do mean this, gentlemen and chat. If Xbox cured cancer tomorrow, it wouldn't be the story that they figured out cancer and they beat that piece of shit. No, it wouldn't be. How come you didn't do it sooner? That's what would be the conversation. So no matter what Xbox does or what Microsoft does, they're going to be the villain. And you know what? It's all. I put it to this way. I went on a block session this weekend because I like tweeting positivity. The minute you interject yourself with negativity, I don't even respond. Block. I blocked about 40 people. I'm starting to get as good as Wilmy Hood. And that guy has hundreds of thousands of people blocked. So if you're a D, you're gonna get blocked. I'm 53. I'm gonna be 54 in September. I'm too old for this shit. I really am. So if you're gonna be a negative shithead, you're getting blocked. That's just the facts. But listen, this has been a great 90 minutes. Sorry to end it with drama, as Josh likes to say. Let's get everyone out of here so you can enjoy the rest of your Monday. Hopefully you're staying cool and collected. And you're enjoying games, and please, for the love of Joe, play Still Wake the Deep. So freaking good. I cannot begin. It's going to end up in my top 10. It's so scary. And I will say this. if you do not wear headphones, you're missing the whole experience. Because when you hear that thing, because it has a toggle where when you're running, you can press the right analog in and look behind you. I gotta tell you, there's been a couple of times where I didn't realize how close that thing was, and I got freaking goosebumps. Like I was like, "Holy shit, he's right on me!" And if you listen with headphones, you can hear it, and you can hear it when it's close. It is, my God, what an addition to Game Pass. Small team. The Chinese Room is the one that made it so good. And again, if you are a fan of John Carpenter's The Thing, you have to play this game. But let's get everyone out of here. Gamsley, sell your brand, dude. Where can people check you out on your new podcast that you have with Deadly Headley, of course, and Asa each and every week? And more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yeah, when I'm not destroying Elden Ring with my two fingers on each hand, that game's really hard. Euro gamers, don't try to beat that game. It's too hard for you.
You're skilled, brother. You are skilled. Don't sell yourself short.
So anyways, when I'm not doing that and destroying bosses on Elden Ring, you can find me here every Monday for the lunch special, each and every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. And then Thursdays, we got the Xbox Series podcast on the Gaming Arcadia channel every Thursday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for everything else, I pop in and out of multiple podcasts. You can follow me at GamsleyTKD on X to figure out where I'm going to show up next.
Nice.
If you liked me, please follow the channel and hit me up. Thank you.
Well, thank you, brother. Super appreciate it. Real quick, Bear Zoo had dropped a $2 super chat, and that's, of course, when we were having the conversation. He says, Jez Corton, or Jez C, reported the direction change a while ago. Yes, indeed, he did. And I did go find that. And again, it's not the story that I use. That's why he wasn't name dropped. But thank you for the generosity. Appreciate you being here. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell your brand, brother. Tell everyone where they can find your YouTube channel, which is the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre. What other shows you're on? And more importantly, where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, as always, Boom, thank you for having me on. Always enjoy doing this show with you and Gamsley. Always enjoy the chat. Love you guys. Thanks for interacting with us and watching us and hearing us out, and some back and forth. And no, Gamsley is not AI. Stop that. What was it, JB that said that?
Or am I?
No, but for those that want to hear my rambles and rants, just follow me on the app, formerly known as Twitter, at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Breakfast with Boom this Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on this channel, Double Barrel Gaming, on Friday morning. Hope to see you guys there. Thanks again.
Well, thank you, brother. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, chat. We had over 700 live viewers today, which is awesome for a Monday. If you enjoyed the show, please consider subscribing. We are 230 something away from 15K. I'm going to be spending a lot of time this week pushing the envelope to see if we can get 15K by the end of the week. It would be a really big deal. Tremendous support for the coverage that we had in LA. We were able to go through. And I obviously, as it's a small business, so you got to check the numbers. From the 5th of June to the 21st, we were able to bring in over 175,000 views, which is the most at any one point we've ever had traffic through the channel. So a big thank you to that. One of our videos did hit 25,000 plus views, which is crazy. That was the Gears of War E-Day. We had, again, when I was there, I did a couple of shorts. I did a couple of live streams, and I think of 2 videos. And it just on those alone, in the block that when I was out in LA, brought us in about almost 40,000 views, which added to the 175,000 views, which is just, again, considering the size of the channel, that's a lot of traffic. So that's thanks to you for not only watching when we're doing it, but of course, checking out the videos that when we cut down the show, and more importantly, sharing it out on social media. So a big thank you to everyone that helped with that. And of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats and the channel memberships that continue to come in. They do allow for us to do the big giveaways, and we did. Everyone that won a coin on Friday, your coins are being mailed out tomorrow morning. I got in touch with all the winners. We're mailing out 8 of those Gears of War coins, which was awesome. And of course, we can't do any of that without the help of this the generosity of the community. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Lunch Break Special.